Hi, Glenn Kirschner. Hi.
Good morning, Steph.
Wow. Well, where should we start? Should we start with the Mark Meadows text? It seems like this is the crux, as Congressman Riggleman said, of this whole coup, right?
Yeah, and Congressman Riggleman is no shrinking violet. So, it's pretty dramatic that he said, he saw it, he had to walk away from his screen because it was so upsetting. And here is what we should all brace for. We're going to see this. We're going to see one heck of a production beginning on June 9. And, I think it's going to knock the constitutional wind out of us when we see how, as he said, all branches of government were conspiring. We're working together to, let's call it what it is, destroy our democracy. So I, for one, am so ready to begin seeing the evidence with my own eyes when the public hearings kick off.
Yeah. It is. I mean, all these, this is the story from CNN. Republicans who texted Meadows with urgent pleas on January 6th say Trump could have stopped the violence. That's the crux of this legally, isn't it? One of the key questions the January 6th committee expected to raise is why Trump failed to publicly condemn the attack for hours, whether that failure is proof of dereliction of duty and evidence that Trump tried to obstruct Congress's certification of the election. The Meadows text show that even those closest to the former president believed he had the power to stop the violence in real time. CNN spoke to more than a dozen people who had texted Meadows that day, including former White House officials, Republican members of Congress, political veterans. Without exception, each said they stood by their texts and believed Trump had the power and responsibility to stop the attack immediately. Talk to us about what that means legally.
It means Trump equals treason, not hyperbole, Steph. That is the federal code, right? Treason is defined as somebody who takes an oath of allegiance to the United States and then levies war against the United States. That's what Donald Trump did at a minimum for 187 minutes. Of course, he didn't call off the attack. He launched the attack. He told his angry mob, after whipping them up with a bunch of lies, and frankly, some of them are not critical thinkers. When they hear the president of the United States tell them point blank, your vote was stolen. Go down to the Capitol and fight like hell, or you won't have a country anymore. Steph, defendants are saying in court, I only did what my president told me to do. Donald Trump launched the attack. He wanted it to succeed. Of course, he wasn't going to call it off. People were streaming into the White House dining room where he was watching the coverage and rewinding to the good parts. This is the testimony we're going to hear from the J6 committee. I don't know if the good parts were when his angry mob was giving the Capitol Police a good beatdown. Maybe that was the good part in Donald Trump's estimation. He refused to call it off. And then what did we learn? He said, you know what? Maybe Mike Pence should be hanged. Stay tuned, right? I think this is not a spoiler alert, but I have a feeling we're going to hear evidence that there were plants in that audience sent there to start that precise chant, hang Mike Pence. That wasn't spontaneous by Trump's supporters. That, I think, was a seed was planted that they should chant that, just like they would put plants in the audience at his rally to start certain chants. So I'm telling you, I'm with Jamie Raskin when he says this is going to blow the roof off the House.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So let's talk about several parts of it. So Bill Barr spotted yesterday, right? Coming out, it looks like he appears to have met with the January 6th committee. What do you make of that?
You know, I don't want to hear anything from Bill Barr until he's a cooperating witness, because he's been charged with his own crimes and then he flips on Donald Trump. At this point, the only thing that Bill Barr contributes to any conversation is carbon dioxide. Beyond that, I don't care what Bill Barr has to say.
Okay, let's talk about the latest other story. I have so many bombshells in my bombshell Glenn stack. Prosecutors in New York are moving closer to slapping Steve Bannon with criminal charges and have subpoenaed several members of his inner circle. So this is the build the wall scam that he was originally convicted for, pardoned by Trump. But this doesn't apply to state, right? So justice is coming, hashtag. Sorry, forgot the hashtag first. Might be true. I mean, this is the thing, right? It still may come for these people.
Oh, yeah. This is the beauty of when federal crimes are committed and the feds, for whatever reason, decline to move forward with a prosecution, or in Bannon's case, they are forced to dismiss the case because the president has granted his co-conspirator a pardon. Steve Bannon also committed state crimes. When you steal money fraudulently with a bogus foundation, you're not only committing federal tax crimes at a minimum, you're committing state tax crimes. And a presidential pardon does not stop a state court prosecution. So I do see Steve Bannon being charged in state court in New York for his fraudulent, for his theft, let's call it what it is, of money from Trump supporters with the bogus We Build a Wall Foundation. So you're right, Steph. Justice will come for Steve Bannon.
You tweeted DOJ subpoenas Peter Navarro, confirming federal criminal grand jury investigation of Donald Trump. Did you see the Ari Melber interview yesterday, by chance?
Yeah, Navarro. I hope Navarro keeps talking and talking and talking, because what we prosecutors call all those statements incriminating evidence. So I'm sorry, I don't often call people names, but he's a stone cold idiot.
Yeah. Well, also, I was stuck in my craw was him talking about, this is abuse of power. And when we get back in, he basically was promising abuse of power and they're going to jail Fauci and whatever. But he kept saying, if these Democrats strip a former president of executive privilege, and we're going to do that. The Democrats didn't do that, right? Executive privilege goes with the office. They didn't strip Trump and give it to Biden. It's not Biden's. It's the office of the current presidency, right?
Yeah. And he keeps claiming Donald Trump's executive privilege, but Donald Trump hasn't invoked it. He doesn't understand, apparently, that it is not for all of the presidential minions to invoke executive privilege. Yeah. It's for the president. And as you say, Steph, it's for the current president and the office of the presidency, not previous presidents. But there is some law out there, or what we call dicta. It's not law, but it's sort of atmospheric precedent when a court suggests something that an ex-president does retain some minimal executive privilege. Yeah. And Donald Trump hasn't invoked it for Peter Navarro. Right. Navarro, that's why I'm going to repeat it. Stone cold idiot.
Yeah. You also, the important thing, as you tweeted, though, you said, assuming Navarro was saying about the subpoena is true, federal prosecutors are seeking evidence of his communications with Trump. This reinforces the DOJ is using the grand jury to directly investigate the crimes of Donald Trump. So that seems the important part, right?
Steph, how long have we been waiting to see some public indication that the Department of Justice was criminally investigating Donald Trump? What have we seen in recent days? It's been an avalanche of evidence tumbling into the public square that indeed DOJ is criminally investigating Donald Trump. We heard they're subpoenaing, Giuliani and Jenna Ellis and John Eastman on Trump's fake elector scheme. They've subpoenaed Navarro, and the subpoena directs that he provide to the grand jury all evidence he has of communications between he and Donald Trump. So there's no question that DOJ is now criminally investigating Donald Trump in the grand jury. And boy, has it been a long time coming, because we've been waiting for some indication, not from DOJ. DOJ doesn't announce who it's investigating, but often the information leaks out when they're conducting these big investigations, but it's been radio silence. Now it's all tumbling out.
Well, yeah, and you had Norm Eisen on your podcast, and he said why he believes Garland is coming for Trump, and that just based on the same stuff you're talking about.
Yeah, and I didn't have him on my podcast. I reviewed his interview with Salon, with Chauncey De Vega from Salon, who's not only a great journalist, a really sharp writer. I enjoy reading his stuff. And I was really comforted, because Norm Eisen has known Merrick Garland for years and years and years. And Norm Eisen is a man of significant accomplishment, including in the government ethics arena, right? And he said, listen, I know him, and Merrick Garland fears no man, and he is coming for Donald Trump. I'm comforted by that.
Yeah, wow, me too. All right, let's talk about John Durham. As you said, fails spectacularly. And you said this not guilty verdict suffered by John Durham is entirely unsurprising. I would call it justice. Perhaps it's time to close down this actual witch hunt and focus on holding Trump and his co-conspirators accountable for trying to kill our democracy, because #justice matters. This is what you and every other legal expert said. There's no there. This is... not only did he lose to 0 on the jury, somebody on the jury actually said, well, this was a waste of time.
Yeah,
Talk,
this is a dramatic and embarrassing loss. Now, I've lost plenty of cases, but they were righteous cases. They were cases that needed to be tried to vindicate the rights of the victim and to protect the community. This case should never have been brought. I'm not the only legal analyst who reached that opinion based at least on the public reporting. After 3 years, an untold tax dollars spent on trying to undo the evidence that Donald Trump colluded, conspired, indeed committed crimes with Russia to steal the presidency. And Bill Barr commissioned this guy, John Durham, to go out and try to undo it. This always had the smell of Bill Barr trying to cover up or minimize Donald Trump's crimes. And Durham finds some lawyer that he claims, he didn't tell us that one of his clients, it was a Hillary Clinton. What a bunch of hogwash. They went into court. They failed spectacularly. And the forewoman of the jury came out after a verdict that was delivered at light speed, not guilty, and said, you know what? Our time could have been better spent. And this is on the prosecution. Yeah. Let me tell you, can I read between the lines and interpret what she was saying? You know how a jury's time could be better spent, Steph? By sitting in judgment of the crimes of Donald Trump for trying to kill our democracy. That's how a juror's time could have been better spent.
Well, speaking of which, you tweeted Georgia DA Fani Willis issues 50 grand jury subpoenas as weighing racketeering charges against Donald Trump. And you were talking about Trump's tweet about the call. You said, I love how Trump uses as a quote unquote defense that many others were on the call. You mean like the many others in your administration who presently are covering up your crimes? Nice try, sport. I just like it when you call people sport.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's like we always say, it seems like justice is never coming and then it comes all at once. I mean, the Fani Willis thing also seems to be heating up, right?
Yeah, that's my favorite saying these days, that sometimes it seems justice takes forever and then it comes all at once. And Steph, we're getting to the all at once part. It's taken too long. But, when Donald Trump says, hey, other people were on the call and they would have said something if there was anything wrong with it. Yeah, other people like Mark Meadows, who is covering up your crimes to this day. Nice try, sport.
Yeah, sport. There it is again. So Brooklyn. Okay. I love you, Glenn Kirschner. I won't
love you back, Steph.
Yes. By the way, if you missed this, and why would you ever miss a word Glenn Kirschner says, you can see this at the Political Voices Network on YouTube.
Yes.
And also, he's super handsome. Okay.
and I'm coming to see you in July.
That's right.
Oh, my God.